the movies I thought you were going to start with, because I think both of us really admire these films and they're great romantic movies, is the Before series.
I knew you were going to bring this up.
I thought you were going to leave with that.
Carly, before I left the house, she said, "Are you going to bring up the Before series?" She literally
Does she
said
not
that.
like them?
I don't think she's ever seen them.
But she's just heard you talk about it.
But she's heard,
much.
she's heard us talk about them.
Yeah, well, for good reason, because they're amazing.
They are really good.
They're really good.
I would say, I feel like the most romantic of the three is the first one.
Yeah. Well,
that's the most romantic of the three. The second one, there's a tinge of like danger.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of the life he's built. Mm-hmm. And you're like, that's in the back of your mind the whole movie. Yeah. You're like, what? Like, what's he going home to? Like, when's he going to go home? Like, doesn't he have to catch his flight? And it's like, it feels more dangerous.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting series where it captures a relationship at like really common places and relatable places where there's the young, kind of random chance meeting, kind of like impromptu love that gets created in the first one.
The excitement of meeting someone new and being completely swept up in it.
In a city you're not familiar with.
Yeah.
And you talk all night.
You know, we've all had that experience.
We've all been riding a train in Europe.
Yep.
And you just run into
How many
a blonde-haired
times?
woman.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. And so you have that. You have like the young love, the chance meeting. Then you have the kind of like reconnection where, you reconnect with a lover from your past and you revisit and you start to wonder what if. Right. And then the third movie really captures that a relationship that's been around for a long time and starts to have cracks and it gets weird and it becomes the
third movie
fight for the relationship.
The third movie's tough. That's a very, very interesting movie.
Yeah.
That's the most challenging of the three.
Yeah.
I think from like an emotional standpoint.
I will say though, that is the most challenging, but the ending I think is very romantic.
Yeah.
The idea of after all they've been through and one of the hardest to watch on-screen arguments, after that, the fact that he still goes out there and he tries to reconnect with her again. And the way he does it, kind of almost parodying himself from the first movie and like reconnecting with that young man she fell in love with.
Yeah.
I thought was very romantic, even though there also is like a tinge of, tragedy and like, oof, this hurts.
Yeah.
But you're right. The first one is by far the most romantic.
Yeah.
And
so you're putting the whole trilogy in there.
I would put the whole trilogy because one, I think in terms of just like a relationship, it captures that very uniquely in a way that most movies don't. The fact that it shows you these characters 9 years apart as Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy age 9 years.
Yeah.
In congruent to the films. I think that's very interesting. It captures all of the ranges of a relationship. But you're right. For this episode, the first movie is probably more fitting.
Right.
And it's just, I rewatched it like a year ago, and that first one still holds up really well.
Yeah, those are super interesting movies. Always very worth the watch. I would suggest those to anybody. Another movie that I kind of hesitate to bring up. I'm bringing up all the ones that I hesitated to bring up. Okay. So,
hesitate away.
Yeah. And it's really because I think that it is a romantic movie.
Okay, hit me.
But it's not really about romance. It's not really about the romantic relationship. You think that at the beginning and in the middle, but by the end you realize it was about something else.
Right.
And you know what I'm talking about? About Time.
About Time. Yeah, I was thinking of About Time, but I was like that's not really ultimately where.
Yeah, give me your thoughts on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, About Time. Love that movie.
Sure.
It's one of those movies that like can instantly make me tear up.
But if you Google best romantic movies, it will pop up.
Oh, did you recently Google
No, I didn't Google it, but I'm assuming.
You don't need to Google it.
I'm assuming that it'll
so
pop
you're
up.
telling me if I checked your Google search history, I wouldn't see...
You wouldn't see it because I already erased my history.
I erased it.
No, but you would see that movie in that genre, in that category, which I think is interesting because it's not really about that.
They really like Trojan horsed like this father-son like story through the lens of like a typical rom-com setup. But even beyond all that, it's just a charming movie. Yeah. Like the whole introduction, the middle portion, like the premise, it's so fun. Yeah. The idea that he can just keep going back in time in such a simple way. They don't waste time trying to explain it, which I think anytime you do time travel, do not try and explain it. Just make the rules as simple as possible and tell your story. Yeah. And the fact that they do that and he has a lot of fun, and then they find a way to like make the time travel mean something. Mm-hmm. And instead of being romanticized about the time travel, he learns to realize that the point of going back in time is to make him appreciate the present more. Yeah. So there's that angle.
Well, and throughout the movie, it is a movie about love and falling in love. Mm-hmm. But it's not only about falling in love with your significant other. It's about like realizing what you have is special and falling in love with your significant other, with your children, with your family, with like everything in life, like falling in love with everything. And that it's different and it's more profound in that way. And I think it's hard to say it does or it doesn't belong in this category because
the relationship with Rachel McAdams is really well done. And it's a good relationship.
It is at the forefront of the movie for much of it.
It's just that where the emotional core is at the end, it's with the father-son dynamic. Yeah. More than so just like him and his wife. Yeah. But man, that's just like a fun, watchable movie. I don't think I could ever get to a point where someone would suggest watching it and I go, I've seen it too many times.
Well, the only reason I would turn that down is because it would be maybe if it's somebody and I don't want to absolutely weep in front of.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
No.
Well, it'll be interesting to see that you have a son.
Oh,
as the years goes by, you'll rewatch About Time and like really start crying.
I watched it 2020 was the last time and it was a mess.
Oh, man.
Like right when the pandemic started, me and Carly watched About Time and it was a mess for both of us.
Yeah. About Time is great. If you haven't seen it, like,
I would highly, highly recommend that.
Oh, good soundtrack too.
Yeah. That's really my gosh, dude. I don't want to nerd out too much on it, but at the end, whenever Ben Folds,
Ben
Luckiest
Folds
comes in, it cuts me to the core. It just destroys me.
Well, okay, I'm going to bring up a movie that I don't think you've heard about, and I just watched it the other day. It's a foreign film called Chungking Express.
Sounds romantic.
Yeah, sounds very romantic. It's a 90s foreign film.
What language?
It's a Chinese film.
Okay.
It's made by a really like kind of well-renowned Chinese director. I don't know if you've heard of like In the Mood for Love.
Sounds familiar, but I haven't
Fallen
sat
Angels,
down and watched it.
But it's a 90s movie, and it's such a well done romantic movie where it honestly has one of my favorite romantic scenes in a movie of all time. Like I like when the film ended, I went, that's going to go down as like one of the best romantic scenes in a movie I've ever seen. Okay. And I don't know if I can get into it without spoiling the movie.
Right. Okay.
But basically the premise of the movie is it's a movie where it tells two stories. So it's about two different cops who fall in love. And so in the first half, it's this young cop who recently got broken up with his girlfriend, whose name is May.
I like how this movie is like they could have completely advertised it as like there's been a murder, and the cops are on the case. But instead it's like there's been a murder of these cops hearts because they're in love. Sorry, that was a stretch. Keep going.
Instead of finding leads, they found love.
There you go. That's much better. That's much better.
So it starts with this story of this young cop whose girlfriend broke up with him, whose name is May.
Okay.
And so she loved pineapples. And so he does this thing in the first half of the movie where he keeps buying all these cans of pineapples that expire May 1st, which is his birthday. And so he's telling himself, it's kind of like a Terrence Malick film in the sense that it's very internal monologue driven.
Okay.
And he's like constantly telling himself, I'm going to give her until May 1st when these cans expire, when it's my birthday, for her to call me. And then if she doesn't call me, I'll move on. But until then, I'm not moving on.
How many cans of pineapple does this guy have?
He goes through a ton. So he buys like
all these. Does he eat it or does he just save it?
Well, I don't want to get too much into it, but like,
I like how what I'm pulling out of this is.
Movie.
I like how what I'm pulling out of this is: did he or did he not eat the pineapple?
Tell me, did he eat the pineapples?
Anyway, keep going.
But so it's this story about a guy who can't get over a relationship, and then he meets this woman, and they have blah blah blah. And so I don't want to give it away.
What do you mean by blah blah blah?
Well, when two people love each other very much.
Wait, okay, so that's one cup.
The blah and the blah become one blah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one cup, but there are two cups, right?
So then when that story ends, like when that story ends, he brushes past the new main character.
Oh, fascinating.
In like a diner.
Yeah.
That they both frequent. And so then like when the first character's story ends, like his little love story ends, he goes to the restaurant and then he like brushes past this character and the movie takes that character's perspective.
Oh, how cool.
And then you're like, will they ever go back? They never go back. It's just like,
dude, that's
they just
awesome.
Switch.
That's so cool.
And then it's another cop who, similar situation, his relationship with his girlfriend who was an airplane stewardess
Oranges this
ends
time.
and he can't give up. Basically, it's this movie about like people who can't let go of past relationships. Mm-hmm. And this guy falls in love with a waitress at the diner.
Okay.
And their relationship is just so cute. It's like, dude, like I was grinning ear to ear, and it's just, and this girl's kind of like eccentric. And so she likes this cop, but he's not ready to move on.
Yeah.
And so she realizes that because his ex, the airplane stewardess, comes into the restaurant while he's not there because she knows he goes there all the time. And she goes, hey, is so-and-so cop here? And the waitress is like, oh, no, he's not here. She goes, can you hand them this letter? And she's like, oh, okay. And so then she reads the letter. And then everyone in the restaurant reads the letter. And then she hangs it up and she's like, hey, this girl, she left a letter. And he goes, I'll read it tomorrow. And he never reads it. So that tells the waitress he's not ready to move on. So then she sneaks into his apartment when he's gone. And she like starts removing all of the items of the ex-girlfriend.
Yo, again, we come back to this idea of like, within the romantic context, I'm sure when you've been watching the movie, it makes sense, but creepy.
No, like even when you're watching the movie, you're like, this is a little creepy, but like, she's kind of eccentric. But like, she's
just crazy.
But and there is a moment where that gets paid off and it's hilarious.
Okay.
But it's just, I really want to tell you like what happens because it's so
I have to watch it.
I'll just say like the ending of that second story is just like, it's
where's
so
it streaming?
Romantic. It's on HBO.
Oh, awesome. I'll watch it. Yeah.
Watch it on HBO Max. So, foreign film, you got to read. Sorry, but
not exactly, maybe not good Valentine's material for watching a movie on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. It's just,
but a good romantic story.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
Excellent. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. But I watched
That's a great suggestion.
And I was like, man, like this is going to go down easily as like one of the best romantic moments in a film of all time. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I've got one that is, it's a little off the beaten path, not really far, but anytime I watch it, it's such a weird movie. I think it's a lot of people would kind of be turned off by it by the fact that it's kind of it's like a fantasy film almost. But it is a very romantic movie, and like you said before, if we're gauging it by it making you grin ear to ear, it always makes me very, very happy whenever I watch it. It makes me grin ear to ear. It's have you seen Stardust?
Oh yeah, I've seen Stardust.
I love that movie.
Stardust is great.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
And it's like a little off the beaten path, but like most people have probably either heard of it or seen it. And
it's kind of under the radar.
It's just one of those that I just, anytime it's on, anytime I watch it, it just makes me feel all those like happy feelings in it. I'm just watching it, grinning ear to ear, and it's just a very earnest
Princess Diaries. the Princess Bride vibes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just similar. Like, yeah, it just makes you feel really, really good. And I wanted to mention that one as a romantic movie because I think that it hits all of the criteria of what you want a romantic movie to do.
Yeah.
You know, there's a little tension, but it's not so much that it's like making you sad.
Yeah. I mean, it's an adventure film.
But yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot to offer.
So yeah, I wanted to bring that up just as like a little one.
Isn't De Niro in it?
De Niro is in it.
He plays a very like not normal.
Yeah. Not De Niro at all. Like not De Niro-y at all.
Yeah, it's very fun. Very fun.
But it's a super fun movie. Very easy watch if you're looking for something to just kind of have fun with.
Yeah. The next movie that came to mind, and if I were to like rank all the movies I came up with, I would probably make this number one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that's Punch Drunk Love.
Oh, dude.
I love Punch Drunk Love.
You do love that movie.
That's one of my favorite movies
Andrew's
ever.
going to link.
Yeah. Right around here somewhere, I did a video
There's going to be a link to the video about it.
Yeah.
And which is a great video.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Punch Drunk Love is awesome. And it is a very, it doesn't present itself as a love story at first.
Yeah. I think what I love about it is it has the sincerity of like your rom-com-esque kind of like more traditional romance movie. It has the sincerity of like a Hallmark story or like a rom-com story.
Yeah.
Which I guess most people would consider to be lesser art, you know?
Yeah.
But it's packaged in like the artistry of a, Paul Thomas Anderson film.
Yeah.
And, usually when you think of artistic love story, it usually coincides with like tragedy or like something a little bit more highbrow.
Right.
But this is very well shot, very well written. It has a lot of artistry, but it's sincere to the core.
Yeah.
And I love that. I admire that.
Yeah. Which is what's off. It feels almost quirky how sincere it is.
Yeah.
Because while you're watching it, your brain is almost telling you like, okay, when's the other shoe gonna drop? Where it's like, it can't be this sincere. Like they don't actually mean what they're saying, or they like this isn't actually what's gonna happen.
Where's
like,
the dark twist?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not there. It's just sincere. Yeah. And that,
I mean,
it like keeps you. Yeah.
The climax of the movie is Adam Sandler going up to Philip Seymour Hoffman saying, "I have a love in my life and it makes me stronger than you could ever imagine." And it's just like, in any other movie, that line would be like eye roll.
Yeah, exactly.
But like when Adam Sandler's character, through everything he's been through, says that, and like you feel how sincere it is and how true it is, like how true, because love is the one thing that opened him up and got him through all his neuroses and his insecurities and his quirks, and like love actually, vulnerability made him stronger. Yeah. It's one of those like ironic things where it's like, oh, the things that makes me more tender and more fragile and more open to hurt actually does make me stronger. Yeah. And that's the message of the movie, and it's so true. And it just like every time I watch that, I just like, oh yeah, like Adam Sandler sells it. Just it's so beautiful.
It is awesome. Speaking of Paul Thomas Anderson love stories,
you gotta say Phantom Thread. That is the darker twist. Yeah,
that's the darker love story.
Yeah, another great one. Well, I love that Paul Thomas Anderson can do both.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, but Punch Drunk Love is awesome.
It's genuinely funny too.
Yeah, it is really funny in ways that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah,
like the comedy comes from places and scenes that you wouldn't expect it to be hilarious.
It's got one of my favorite like romantic visual shots where when Adam Sandler finally goes to Hawaii to meet up with her, and they're in that resort, and then you just see their silhouettes, backlit by the the beautiful resort in the background.
Yeah.
And so they're just these dark silhouettes in a door frame, like backlit from the light, and you see like the green palm trees, blah, 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 and you just see their silhouettes embrace. I'm just like, beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so romantic.
Yeah.
When they finally embrace. I love that movie.
I will say, I feel like that is not that's not like an easy reach. I feel like that's not like that's not the first thing you think of whenever you think of like romantic movies or whatever. But that is definitely,
it gets there.
Definitely a good one.
Yeah. What else did you have?
Oh, I had some like, the like easy kind of fun ones. Mm-hmm. Like I think Crazy Stupid Love is hilarious. Ryan Gosling and Steve Carell.
Again, Ryan Gosling.
That's like it's just a classic feel good.
That's a good one.
Fun one to watch.
That's a good one. I'm upset I didn't put like more just like fun ones.
Yeah. I think Silver Linings Playbook.
I haven't seen that in a while.
I love that movie as like a love story. Mm-hmm. I really do. And it's not as it's funny in more of like a quirky way.
Yeah.
But there are also some really, really dark like scenes in it and like fights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it is dealing a lot with like the idea of you having to accept yourself before you can be in someone else's life. Like you having to kind of deal with your own problems, but also accept that like that's who you are and how you are, and like accept that someone else can love that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that one, I haven't thought about that one in years, and I thought about it and was like, that's kind of a good one. It's romantic, and by the end it has a really cool, a really nice romantic payoff.
A really classic romantic movie that's fun. Notting Hill.
Oh yeah. Notting Hill.
I watched it a couple years ago for the first time, and like I knew like the famous moments from the film, like the I'm just a boy standing in front of a girl.
Yeah.
But man, that movie holds up. It's so good.
Yeah,
it's so good. Notting Hill is great.
Another kind of just fun one is 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh yeah,
that's just a fun one.
That's a good
fun one.
JGL.
Yeah. The Big Sick. I haven't thought of in a long time.
The Big Sick is cute. That's a cute movie.
I haven't thought of that one in a long time, and I thought of it, and I was like, shoot, man, that's a good one. I like that one.
Oh, you know what? Underrated one that came out like probably like, I don't know, 5-7 years ago. It has Zoe Kazan in it and Daniel Radcliffe. I think it's What If?
Oh, yeah.
With Adam Driver in it.
I remember that.
That's a cute movie, too.
It is, yeah. It is.
That's a good little like rom-com movie to watch.
500 Days of Summer, I think, is kind of a classic rom-com that, you don't think about as much
That's one of
anymore.
those like smarter ones where the point is that your male protagonist, which in all these movies is always like, the person to root for. But really, when you think about 500 Days of Summer, like he was in the wrong.
Yeah.
Like idolizing and,
Yep.
But that's a good movie too. I think we did it.
Did we?
Yeah, I think
do you feel like we got sufficiently romantic?
Well, I wouldn't say that.
With our podcast.
Yeah.
I think any podcast about Valentine's Day, if you start with Terminator, you can't
go wrong.
Can't go wrong with
Terminator.
Can't go wrong with that. I mean, and really, think about it.
Yeah.
Just think about it.
The moral of the story is if your leader sends you back in time to protect his mom, you got to get with the mom.
I mean, if there's anything that we've learned, or else you won't exist.
Oh, you won't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that.
You have to honor the space-time continuum. That's the most romantic thing you can do.
Is honor the space-time continuum.
I mean, honestly, there's a history in Hollywood doing that. Back to the Future. That was the whole point. He's got to keep his parents together.
Yeah.
Go back in time. Yeah. So, if you can go back in time, make sure your parents get it on.
Yeah.
Well, we were doing so well.
We had such a good spot to end.
Yeah. Man, we were killing it. We can never end properly.
Oh well, well, yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
Why don't listen to the podcast?
you're listening right now, but keep listening.
Subscribe to it.
Subscribe.
Like
Apple,
it. And review
Spotify.
it.
Yeah. I put out a call to action.
Yeah.
For people to leave a review. I posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
I said, hey, if you got nothing better to do, give us 5 stars, post a review.
Got nothing better to do.
No one took me up on it.
Review.
No one took me up on it.
Man, tragic. Well,
I'm gonna double check just to make sure.
Again, hey, subscribe wherever you're listening to this. Subscribe to Professional Appreciators and rate it and like it. Leave a comment. It helps us out. And
we got nothing. We got nothing on Apple.
Yeah, so go to
sad.
Apple, leave a rating and a comment, and you could be as mean or as nice as you want to be.
At this point,
we'll read it.
I'm like, just I don't care how low of a rating. Just give us a rating.
Just one, yeah.
Let us know if you're listening. Let us know how you feel about it.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. People in the comments on YouTube definitely do.
Yeah.
Why aren't they rating it?
I don't know. I guess people on YouTube are not getting off of YouTube and
YouTube. They're just gonna go right to it and be like 1 star.
Yeah, I really think our audience is very divided. Like, I don't think many people who listen to it on audio watch it, and I don't think anyone who watches it really listens to it. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
It is what it is, baby.
Yeah,
I'm happy to be here no matter what.
But if you are watching the video format, most likely this has been a shortened, kind of heavily edited version of the podcast. So if you want to listen to the full podcast, you can go down below, find the Spotify or Apple Podcast link. And if you're listening on audio and you want to see our pretty faces, you can go over to YouTube at Why It's Great and check us out there.
That's right.
But other than that, go find your significant other, take her out for some romantic Italian food.
Some romantic spaghetti.
Slurp it up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're alone this Valentine's Day, hey, I've been there. I was there for a long, long time. There's a lot of really sad romantic movies we recommended.
So yeah, if you are single, there are plenty of movies to check out. About Time is a good one. Chungking Express, Terminator.
Yeah. Terminator 2.
Yeah, Terminator. Skip the third one.
Oh, dude, I didn't even mention Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I thought you might have that on your list. It is too late. We'll get it next time.
Everyone knows that movie's great.
Yeah. Speaking of Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah.
That's who wrote that, right?
Yeah, Charlie Kaufman.
Did you see his most recent movie that came out on Netflix with our boy?
Oh, I'm thinking of Ending Things.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a trip.
You saw it?
That's a trip.
That movie is wild.
That's a trip.
Very difficult to understand. Had to read an article.
Yeah. Well, I told you about the book he wrote.
Oh, I think you did, but I don't remember.
It's just as weird, but I loved it.
Dude.
Yeah, that one's wild.
It was just the whole time it was just a guy committing suicide.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
His little thoughts in his head.
Wild stuff.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's been the Professional Appreciators. This was our Valentine's Day edition, even though we didn't have the romantic aesthetic. But maybe next year.
Put some hearts around.
And don't forget, if you missed the beginning of the podcast, which is weird, I don't know why you'd press play on a podcast and
skip to the end.
The intro. But if you did, don't forget about our limited NFTs.
Yeah.
Our sound wave jars.
Go pick that up.
And if that sounds ridiculous, well, that's just because NFTs are ridiculous. And with that, we bid you adieu.
You're not doing us any favors on the internet right now, are you?
We're not.
Well, I love you.
Oh yeah, that's how we should end.
I love you.
You had me at hello. No. You had me at play. Press play.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, amid all of that, I'll find a way to end.
That'll be a nightmare to edit.